Gary, this is the video I finished a few days ago, but was having some problems with uploading. This video is on your short game, and I will send another video with your full swing next. One of the things that I evidently did during our session 2 weeks ago is I had the video camera on the wrong setting, and you're going to see some ghosting of your image and some tracing. It's not as clear of a high definition pictures that you're used to seeing. The improvements that you show from last spring are very, very good.
Oh, that's perfect. I think that's going to be perfect. Good. Very good. Very good. So we're going to try to fly it to that sign. So you're not going to do a pitch, a fairly good carry to that spot. You're going to try to hit the sand in the air. You may need a little bit more. Do a couple more before you hit a ball. This is going to have to require a little more elevation with the follow through.
Oh, okay.
So let me see a couple. You can re-hinge up in the air a little bit with this one.
Okay.
You want to get the height. Yeah, more like that. More like that. Yeah, yeah. Let's see what that does. That may go too far, but I don't know about that yet. That's pretty close to what we want. Let's just keep working with that technique. Oh, that's really sweet.
Gary, I'm going to take a little review of your chipping technique from our session last week. And it's always interesting to look at the swing and the techniques after there's been a little bit of a layoff. One of our concerns is always that we tend to maybe go back to the old way of doing things when we lay off. And so it was important for me to see how much of the changes you've been working on over the several months, how much of those changes you've retained and you now kind of take ownership of these new fundamentals. So I pulled up your chipping technique from when we first met back last spring. Now as I go through this comparison, everything that you do on the left was done before we talked about anything. This was the swing you arrived with the session at. So the technique that you display in this video is the one that you own. And it's a remarkable difference than the one that you owned back in the spring. So if I look at what you were doing last spring, let's start with the setup. You can see how you set up with your hands a little bit forward, but you can see how your hands are more between at the center of your body, and now on the left your hands are a little bit more forward. You have a little bit more shaft lean, which is the correct way. You want more shaft lean for these little shots, and so that looks really good. And you have a nice extension right here, and there's a little bit of an angle right there. You also you have a little bit more weight on your left side than you did back in the spring. So you've done two important things with your changes. You have set your hands more in front of the ball and your weight more in front of the ball, which keeps that low point in front of the golf ball. So those are a couple of very important changes that you do and that you're doing now that you did not do when we first began. And you're doing them now out of comfort, not out of conscious thought so much. You have settled in to feeling comfortable with this new setup. So that's very important. Now as you go back on the right here, on this particular shot, you go back to about there on your backswing. Here, you have a little bit more wrist hinge. The real difference is going to be what you do as you come through the ball. As you come through the ball here, you can see how your hands just kind of stop. And you don't really swing the handle through. And you have a severe cupping of the back of that left wrist. So when you get to here, you're in this position. But now your new technique, when you get to the ball, you've got a nice straight line right here. As you come through, that hand has moved. That hand has moved. It's not stuck but at the middle of your body. Such an important and remarkable difference now as you swing the club through the ball, not just the club head through the golf ball. So very good technique today, and it's one that you now own. Now we're going to look at your pitch shot from last spring compared to our last session. And again, your setup on the left is just textbook. Feet are close together. You've got a little bit more weight on your left side here, whereas last spring you were shifted onto your back foot. You now are more on your left foot. Kind of 50-50, but just slightly more left, which is ideal. You're much more on top of the ball, so that looks really good. Last spring, as you went back, went to about right here for the shot I had you hitting in our last session. Kept your head very steady, about the same. But you stayed on your left side. Here you've definitely moved to the right foot. So you made a remarkable change there of staying stabilized and rotating around your left side. Very good. As you come down on from last spring's technique, you were still at impact here, then over here. Very good. You can see again how your weight is on your back foot at impact, and here you're driving your hip past your left foot. Much different, much different. As you continue forward here, you start buckling this wrist. Start to lift up when your right arm is parallel. You're looking up. From our last session, you're keeping your head down. You're keeping your hands moving through. And when you get to that same position, you can see how your weight is on the left side. Your eyes are still looking down. Very good technique, both your chipping and your pitching.